Good morning, it's Jonathan Barrett with the 4th of November morning debrief. Rocky roads, Greeks in, Greeks out, Greeks in, Greeks out. I guess at the end of the day, I think the European leaders, Sarkozy, Merkel and co really sort of paid out on George Papandreou, the Greek Prime Minister, in terms of his proposed referendum. At the end of the day, they turned around and squashed his idea. He's pulling it to Parliament to say that they would actually not actually put it to the Greek people. At the end of the day, it just goes to show that everyone's got different agendas, and I think these different agendas will be the concern. Hopefully there will be a united approach. Hopefully the IMF will get involved, and hopefully we'll get some resolution to the issues. I think in my mind, one of the key here is whether or not Greece is happy to be in the EU, and whether or not they will exit. I think the general feeling is that they want them to stay because obviously a lot of the countries are linked to that debt which Greece has. So if they leave, then that'll provide further concerns across the board. So I think there is a consensus that they will stay in and they won't have the referendum. And as a result of that, we've seen a level of optimism hit the market. And let's just run through that. Okay, run through the markets, just news first. Obviously, MF Global is still a major concern for everyone involved. There's no doubt about it. So still quite a bit of an issue there. US stocks rise after Greek abandons vote. We know that, which is quite good. Working through other bits and pieces. Stocks, commodities rise on, ECB rate cut, forgot to mention that. Yes, they certainly popped in there, and it was actually a shock. The market wasn't expecting that rate cut, but they certainly did, and they lowered rates by 0.25% to 1.25%. So there we go. US service industry is cool, and that is a bit of an issue. And on the energy sector, obviously, we've seen oil rise on the back of the European rate cut. Once again, we've got to be cautious about the level of optimism that this creates and whether or not we feel that it can be easily passed, and whether or not the road or Europe will be on the road to recovery. Let's hope it does. At the moment, commodities are responding to EU announcements, and that's something that we have to all be aware of. Okay, let's run through the markets. World indices. As mentioned, the Dow has been quite solid. The Dow was up 1.76%. The Euro was up 56. The FTSE was up 61. The CAC up 84, and the DAX up quite strongly there, 167. Looking at the local futures market. Local futures market had a strong night as well, up 88 points at 4,271. There's certainly a lot of volatility everywhere. There's no doubt about it. Certainly a lot. Moving on to the commodities. And I think a lot of us find it very difficult to pick the trend. As a result of that, our recommendation is people make sure they lower the size that they're trading. Otherwise, this whipsaw market's going to have an effect on their P&Ls. Brent crude was up 1.32%. West Texas was up 169, as you can see there. And as we always know, I always like to monitor that spread. 16.7, stable at the moment. Okay, across the board there. Wheat had a strong night, up 12. There was a negative report out on wheat in terms of global surpluses, but that doesn't seem to be affecting the market at the moment. We are on a pretty major support for wheat, so keep an eye on that. Cotton, just trying to flound around at the bottom end of the range. It's at 98, so this is probably an opportunity down there around these areas to have a look at it. Corn up 8.5 at 653, so quite solid there. And soybeans, a solid strong night, up 2% at 12.27. I think that's quite good. Rice just doing what it needs to do. Copper, strong night, up $1.70. Oh, not that strong, but anyway. Moving and trading around that 360 level. Gold, a strong night, up $35 at 17.64. And as with silver, up 1.6 at 34.48. So quite a bit of movement on those markets, no doubt about it. Let's have a look at some of the dollar index, see whether we can get anything out of this. But I think at the end of the day, the numbers in the States are okay, but they're starting to come off a little bit. Confidence seems to be coming under pressure. The litmus test, I think, will be the unemployment rate tonight. Keep an eye on that because I think the market will take lead as to what that number is. A little bit more on that a little bit later. Okay, Aussies bounce back in the range. I think that'll be a range for some time. and I think the dips will be well supported on it. We are short, so I think that I'll look to close the positions if I can get down to 103.30. I think to me that seems to be the right play at the moment. Looking at the dollar index, obviously expect 76.91, down 77.68 on what's happening in Europe. That's all that expected, and we need to see it break through this level at the top side, 78, in order for it to continue to trade onwards and upwards. So I don't mind that at all. Remember, we're still supportive of the US dollar. Apart from that, gold, let's have a quick look. 1763, good strong move. Still long there and liking that, so quite happy on that. Support is now 1750. If you want to move your stops, you can move your stops up to 1720 because I think that's probably the right area to have them. Also good to have a look at a daily chart on the gold price. You can see that it just seems to be above this trend here, so we can assume that that upward trend bias remains with us. Breaking below that trend is the problem for me, so that puts your stop around about 17.15 if you can. Okay, now let's have a quick look at some of the others. We'll have a look at copper, 359.15. Remember, we are getting inventory builds there. That does concern me a little bit because this slowdown will be worn by the copper price, and I still feel negative towards it, so expect lower prices there regardless. Crude, 94.14, after hitting that high at 94.61, the low of 90.81. Well, can't say there's not a lot of volatility. There certainly is a lot, and that's the daily chart within that movement. Let's have a look at the hourly chart. There it is there, tough resistance 95. That's an area we have pointed to many times as tough resistance, so expect that to remain as it is. Okay, that's all on that side. Let's have a quick look at the calendar. And tonight sees the unemployment data. That would be the cue. Changing non-farm payrolls, 100,000. Expecting a good number. Unemployment rate, 9.1%. And changing manufacturing numbers there, up 5. So expecting reasonable numbers. So I think the market's going to try and factor that in. And if that is the case and they are good numbers, that'll support the recent move we have had. Okay, well that's pretty much about it from me. I hope everyone has a good day. A few things we're looking at. Keep close to the tweets and we'll take it from there. Have a good day. Happy trading. Bye for now.